A premise is this: a previous statement or proposition in which another is inferred. A premise as a verb, because a premise is an ambiguous word. It is a noun and a verb. The verb is a subset, or the secondary meaning, the subset. Premise as a verb is a presupposition. Presupposition and supposition is not the same. Presupposition is to state or assume beforehand. And then you have proposition now as a noun is a statement or an assertion that expresses a judgment or opinion. Proposition as a verb is a proposition. Proposition is probably we hear most pervasively, sociologically, where you hear the term he propositioned her.
Yeah, it's like a suggestion.
But it's proposition used as a verb, because proposition as a verb is a proposition. But proposition as a noun is a statement or an assertion that expresses a judgment or opinion. A premise as a noun is a previous statement or proposition in which another is inferred. But why is a premise and proposition used interchangeably as a noun? Right? This is a defect. Misconception, misperception, misapprehension, misconstrued. Lexicographers are wrong 4 times. That's how wrong they are.
Well, yeah, and it kind of calls into question maybe even a lot of the scientific method itself, right? When you're using these words to support your statements, your theses, your conclusions, and then you look back at the definitions of these words that you've used, you find that there's sometimes not a lot of substance to them.
It's confusing. I mean, look at the hypothesis. A hypothesis is basically a supposition or a proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence, pending further investigation. Right. And then you say an axiom is a statement or proposition regarded as a self-evident truth. So you see, but then you can't blame lexicographers, because language in and of itself, etymologically speaking, and the whole evolution of language is not based on the prescriptive aspect of it. It's more descriptive. Lexicographers collectively publish the semantical definition of a word based on how its sociological interpretation based on a collective group of people. So it's published based on how we interpret language or how we perceive it to be. So I find this to be a fascinating phenomenon. Not just the language in and of itself, but get into areas like logic, reason. Look, I'll give you a quick example. Logic is basically reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. It doesn't answer the question.
Nope.
No. Reasoning, right, is a cause, explanation, or justification for an action or event, right? Now, reasoning now, because of the inflectional morphological implication of the word ing, it alters the semantics. So the word reason was defined as a cause, explanation, or justification for an action or event. The meaning now is more modified now with the ing to a logical and sensible approach in which information is processed. Evidence is defined as the available body of facts or information underlying whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. All 4 words differ and reflect back. Logic uses reason, reason reflects back to logic, logic reflects back to evidence, evidence reflects back to proposition. When you go to premise, premise tells you proposition, you go to proposition, proposition tells you axiom.
Right, and you